Hey there, welcome back. I am so excited to be sharing with you that my all new online event, Psychedelics, Sacred Medicines, Purpose and Business, Integrating Visionary Experiences into Conscious Entrepreneurship, has recently just launched. So you can sign up for free. We have over 37 speakers joining in this online conference, this online series. It officially starts September 30th and it runs until October 8th. And then there will be 2 days of replays. And that's it. And then it's gone. So I just wanted to take a moment to share with you all about my intention for this year's series. So this will be the third year I host this event. In 2019, it was called Psychedelics, Sacred Medicines, and Purpose. And then last year I added Psychedelics, Sacred Medicines, Purpose, and Business. And this year I have more speakers than I can actually even handle, with more getting added every day. And this year my intention was to bring on a lot of speakers who might not have heard of, who are actually doing incredible work in the field of psychedelics and other forms of expanding consciousness. So I wanted to make sure that I actually had some other speakers to talk about alternatives to psychedelics and sacred plant medicines that also bring you into expanded states of consciousness that will actually help you on your path of finding your purpose, of coming into your purpose, of sharing your unique medicine, of becoming a conscious entrepreneur. So in the meantime, before I tell you a little bit more about all our speakers, I want you to know that you can sign up. It's totally free. It's psychedelicsforpurpose.com. And if you just go to my social media or my website, you'll see it there. It's all over the place. And you will see a lot of the speakers promoting it as well right now, this week, and over the next week. So in this, I bring together leading experts in the fields of psychedelics, sacred plant medicines, entrepreneurship, personal development, spirituality, shamanism. I have a few shamanic practitioners, visionary art, music. I have a few musicians. I also brought in some people who are working in the intersection of psychedelics and health and wellness, psychedelics and sacred sexuality and tantra. Let's see, a speaker in human design, another renowned astrologer, an herbalist, and I have a special guest who joined us from the Huni Queen indigenous medicine community, who came to us. Actually, she was visiting Peru, but she's based in Brazil, and she shared some songs as well as her voice on these sacred medicines. And a lot of the interviews are talking about integration and how we can integrate these medicines into business, into our purpose, help us find our purpose. We also explore a lot of really hot topics right now, including indigenous wisdom, sacred reciprocity, social activism, what the point of all these psychedelics even are. And integration was huge. It's really interesting. You have to listen to these interviews to hear a lot of speakers who agree so much on the importance of getting support with integration. And again, this can be done in many different ways. And all the speakers provide different viewpoints on what does it mean to integrate this into your life and your purpose and your business. Also, many of the speakers are medicine facilitators themselves, meaning they work with medicine and host retreats and host people in other countries where it's legal. They speak about what it's like to have a business as an actual facilitator. There's also people working as coaches and therapists and in the kind of legal psychedelic realm as well. So be sure to tune into that if you are interested in this. But I want to share this intention because I'm not sure how often I've shared this, but 3 years ago, I released the first Psychedelic, Sacred Medicines, and Purpose conference. But the idea had come to me 2.5 years before that, maybe 3 even. And it came through me. So there's a few times during the conference where I mentioned like, yeah, that's the intention behind this. So I don't remember the exact first time it came through me, but it started coming through as I was going down to the jungle in Peru to work with sacred plant medicines and doing master plant dietas. And this idea came through numerous times, and I actually thought it was ridiculous. And I thought, no way can I ever make a big summit about psychedelics because it's so taboo. But, over time, it kept coming through about how I needed to share this aspect of myself. It was such a huge part of my path that I really wasn't sharing with many people. Interestingly, I did have a lot of clients who were working with plant medicines and psychedelics. And oddly, I was like, how are they even finding me if I'm not talking about it? But I do believe that our energy attracts like, and certain people, they knew my path, or they could read between the lines. Like I would share something to my newsletter. By the way, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please do so. I share very regularly, once a week or so. And I would say things like, I went down to Peru for a very deep experience, 2 weeks in the jungle, but I wouldn't say what I was doing. So when I finally got up the nerve to put this out there, it was a deep process. You can ask my friend Derek Laudermilk, who I interviewed on this podcast a few weeks ago. He was in a mastermind with me, and I remember bringing this up to the mastermind at a retreat where I said, look, I'm a business coach. I talk about my spiritual path. I talk about astrology, but I have not talked about psychedelics. What do you all think of this? And I kept saying, like, I've had this download many, many times through the medicine that I should make a whole series about this. And I thought it was crazy, but they were actually my business coach and my mastermind peers were the ones that were encouraging me, saying, yeah, actually, if this is in you and it's coming through, like, definitely do it. And the world needs people to talk about this. And I'm telling you, it was no joke. It was very hard to come out of the psychedelic closet, but really it wasn't about even the psychedelics. It was about me being my most authentic self, which is the path of conscious entrepreneurship, regardless of psychedelic entrepreneurship or any other kind of entrepreneurship. Really, coming into your purpose is part of the path of liberation, I believe, because it's really a path of you knowing yourself on such a deeper level, on a more authentic level, and really taking the mask off that we all wear, right? Like most of us walk around like hiding aspects of ourselves and not being our truest selves, especially out there in the world. Maybe we're our true selves with our partners or our friends, but not so much with the world. So this path of really coming into your divine purpose and owning what is coming through your inner channel, what wants to flow through you, it's not the easiest journey, but this is the path of what I believe is like the soul leading you towards what it came here to do. Like what is part of your journey here in this incarnation that you have, which, by the way, is only one right now. I mean, of course, I believe in other incarnations, but you don't know those incarnations, right? Like this is the incarnation that you are aware of right now. So it really came down to questioning when I was in this, like, okay, do I want to be truly me or do I want to hide forever? Because it's actually not sustainable to pretend. That's one thing that has come up so much in this series is about, how these medicines help us really not just know our purpose, but know ourselves, because that's where it's at. Yes, the purpose is part of it, but it actually it's about peeling off those layers to come into our true path. This is also why my programs are named True Path Entrepreneur 12-month Group Mastermind and Your True Path Intensive, because it really is about you being in your truth. And that's what this series is all about. And I really just wanted to share a little bit about it. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look at my list of speakers. We have, let's see, a few people with PhDs, some doctors, writers, authors, a lot of people have written books. major influencers, people who have huge followings out there, coaches, healers, astrologer. I mentioned Allison Gray is part of this. I always love interviewing Allison of Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, COSM. I mentioned we have an indigenous medicine keeper who's sharing her wisdom and her music. A few other business coaches who do, somewhat business coaches, people who do similar work as me. Facilitators of Iboga, 5-MeO-DMT, psilocybin facilitators as well. A few integration coaches. We have a few people that are like multidisciplinary, healers and coaches who've pretty much studied everything. A couple of people talking about combo medicine. Someone talking about herbal healing and different forms of other plants that we can work with that are not psychoactive, as well as psychoactive plants. And people talking about business and this whole new realm that we're seeing in psychedelics and business and what it's going to look like in the future and where are we going and what is the potential for careers in psychedelics. That came up a few times. We have people who have startups and are doing really interesting, like cutting edge work that hasn't even been released to the public yet. Death doulas, shamanic practitioners, tantra, musicians who are also working at the bridge of technology and psychedelics, creativity in psychedelics, human design. Oh my gosh, another musician, combo practitioner. A lot of people talking about somatics and movement and what embodiment is and what it's all about and how it relates to not just psychedelics, but to the future of our planet. What direction is the world going in and humanity? More artists, more musicians, microdosing. Yes, of course, microdosing has come up a few times. We have someone talking about cannabis as well. So we are talking about all sacred medicines here: Wachuma, DMT, Iboga, Ibogaine, psilocybin, ayahuasca. I'm trying to think what hasn't been mentioned. I'm trying to remember. Probably LSD's come up a couple times, but not so much. But the only ones that have not been mentioned are kind of these less popular research chemical medicines that don't get talked about as much. Of course, MDMA did come up, ketamine as well. A few really big psychedelic entrepreneurs: Paul Austin from the Third Wave, Jackie, who owns Delic Corporation and runs Delic, Meet Delic. We have a few people talking about shadow work and that deep, beautiful, amazing work into initiations along with psychedelics and how this can help us in our healing, which of course many of us don't want to talk about the dark side, but I actually find it to be very interesting because every time I go through something really dark, my life just gets so much better. So I'm a fan of going and doing deep shadow work. So that's it right now. As of this recording, we have about 38 speakers confirmed. It's way more than I expected, and I've actually had to say no to some people. So I anticipate that we might have around 40 people at the max, because that's all I can handle. But I invite you to tune in. It's free. And please, here's the thing. If you like this work that I'm putting out there, if you like this summit, if you like this podcast, I ask you from the bottom of my heart to just share this. Share the link. If you're afraid of judgment, you don't have to say anything. Just share it. Share, and maybe this is your opportunity to come a little bit out of your psychedelic closet, to just share something of interest. It doesn't mean anything just by sharing something that you like. So, and also I invite you to support the summit with, I do have an option where you get lifetime access for a $57 upgrade. Included in that are a few video bundles, including ones about psychedelic healing and other about psychedelic businesses and so on. You also get 2 of my online trainings, which come with videos and PDF guides. And then I donate 10% of all of the profits from this series to 501c3 nonprofits who are working in psychedelic advocacy, accessibility, and decriminalization. Many of which are actually organizations that some of the speakers are involved in or have started themselves. One thing I will tell you transparently, I actually do not make money on this series. I originally created this because many years ago, I wanted to start going to these psychedelic conferences that I saw in London and California, and even in my own hometown of New York City, where I lived at the time. And what I found was these involved, for the most part, buying a $500 conference ticket, flying on an airplane that cost another $500, and staying in a hotel that would probably cost $1,000 for, a 3 or 4 day conference. And additionally, a lot of these conferences were geared towards academics or therapists or people who are already working, kind of in this researchers, people who are working in the depths of the psychedelic field. And I was like, well, why isn't there a conference for the everyday people, right? For people who are just truly interested in transforming their lives and finding their purpose and creating a conscious business and being in transformational entrepreneurship. And that's one of the reasons I was called to make this a free conference and to offer lifetime access at a very accessible price. So it's only $57. 10% is given to nonprofits. A huge portion of this money actually goes back to the speakers because they're donating lots of their time and energy. And so I give the money back. And essentially the leftover money gets paid to produce the actual series, which is no joke when it comes to production. Ask anybody who's done one of these. They're like all encompassing for a few months, but I love doing it. I love getting to know the speakers. And what I really love the most is making this important information accessible to so many people across this planet. I do believe that this is really important information that we need for these times that we're in. Even if people are just starting to get curious about psychedelics, it's important to share this work and share your voice and share how you feel and how they have helped you, because this is how we're actually going to create societal change. The more people are expressing like, hey, this is what helped heal me, or this is what helped change my career for the best, or, save my relationship, or healed trauma with my family, or whatever it is, the more we share these stories, the more there's going to be support to decriminalize and legalize these medicines and make them more accessible to you, to everybody on this planet, and to the loved ones all around you. And in the end, I do believe this is on a deeper level, our path to some form of collective healing, in every manner possible. I do believe that they are here growing in popularity for these intense times that we're in. I do not believe that psychedelics are the only answer. I do believe they bring us to the next level of recognition of like, oh, it's time to integrate. It's time to get into my body. It's time to make some transformation in my life and live a life of truth, authenticity, and the heart path, and be true to what is coming through your heart and through yourself. So that is my intention behind this series. I just wanted to share this from the bottom of my heart, what it was all about. And I thank you for being part of this community. Be sure to join up to the free summit. It's psychedelicsforpurpose.com. And if you need to find it, it'll be right here in the show notes. You can also find me all over the internet, and it's there as well. Thank you so much for sharing this, and stay tuned. Next week, we'll have another guest on this podcast. Be sure to leave a review as well if this podcast has called you and you enjoy it. Thanks so much. See you soon.